And welcome in to another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Battle Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, a man who is really glad that his last name is not Mandarin, first name Jerry. He is Cody Stavenhagen. How you doing?
Hey, doing all right, Kieran. How are you feeling? Tigers Twitter, the Tiger sphere. I think it's officially reached a meltdown point. How are you? Are you there?
Well, I'm quite concerned. I try to be a level-headed guy. I really do. But I can only respond to kind of what I'm seeing. And for a lot of what we have witnessed over the past, we'll call it 3 weeks, has been some either uninspiring or emotionally degrading aspects of baseball.
Emotionally degrading. Ouch.
Yes, that's how I feel in the moment. Because look, we're recording this Thursday afternoon. Wednesday's game 9-4. You lose the game, you lose the series, and even 9-4. Cody, did that felt like that's too close. That felt too close. But watching that game, honestly, I know they had the lead, and
As did the game the night before. Ended up being a 3-run game. Never really. I mean, the Twins' bullpen is on paper so bad that I was like maybe, but it never really felt like they were in that game either.
Well, one of the things that I try to do is I try not to describe things from what the players are or not doing. I don't want to say players quit. I don't like saying that they're not trying hard. Those kind of things. I try to do it from my perspective. And from my perspective, a lot of this is uninspiring ball.
I think you can say that pretty objectively. They have one of the worst bullpens in baseball dating back to June 1st. They have the worst strikeout rate and the lowest walk rate since the All-Star break. Those are pretty objective measures that you haven't been a very good baseball team. And the rotation has been very hit or miss as well. There's not really been one element of this team post All-Star break that you can be feeling good about at this point.
Well, okay. So again, how am I feeling? You asked, how am I feeling? So I'm drawing based on that. One of the things that I look for is what can you hang your hat on watching the Tigers? And for, those things were very obvious for 2/3 of what of the season, up to this point. Now it's what's an identity of this team right now is a question that I ask myself. Well, it's certainly not bullpen. It's like pitching chaos the bad way. I've said that a couple times, kind of tongue in cheek. Now it really is pitching chaos the bad way. Obviously, you have Skubal, you have various performers who are still overachieving, but even defensive mistakes that we've seen that are uncharacteristic, and getting outs on the base pass. And I'm not even criticizing the act of taking the extra base. So I'm going to make that clear, but just the outs are coming at a higher clip than we're used to seeing. You see what I'm saying? And I guess the best thing you could say is that the home run power seems to be okay, actually, because at least on Wednesday, that's all you had. Unfortunately, you didn't have much else offense. So a couple solo shots here and a 2-run here and boom, that's your 4 runs, right? So it's hard to get a grasp on, okay, well, the losing's happening, but stick to this, look at that, and overall the process is okay. Everything seems out of chaos right now. And we have the graphic right here on our screen, low point. I guess it's a good thing on August 7th we're saying this is a low point of the season, but this feels really low. And the tone and the mood is not great among the fan base.
Yeah, I mean, the low point is losing 12 of 13. And it was kind of like, are the Tigers ever going to win again? Are they capable of winning? And then they reeled off 4 straight. And it was a little bit of a reminder of okay, this is how these things go sometimes. But then, like you said, just a flat out, uninspiring, poor series against the Twins, a team that just traded 11 players, and you lose that series. It's a reminder when you step back and look a little bit at the larger sample since the All-Star break or since June 1st or since the last 60 games, there are a lot of things this team has not been doing that well. One thing that the team seemed to bring up a lot around the trade deadline was trusting the track record, trusting what they did for the past 12 months or the first 90 plus games of the season. But let's be real. Like, people got mad at me in the first half for being like, I don't know. There's not a lot of evidence to support the fact that Jahmai Baez will continue to do this. Jahmai Baez has been pretty bad since his 2-homer game against the Red Sox. Zach McKinstry has actually continued to be productive, but man, you are putting a lot of pressure on that. We all know the Riley Green conversation that we've had about a million times. Torkelson's continued to perform and Dingler's continued to perform, but this lineup, man, it was doing some things in the first half of the season that seemed to be punching above its weight. And not only have some guys gotten cold, the approaches, the plan, it seems to be totally out of whack. Like I've said at a few different points this year, the Tigers do not dominate the strike zone. Something that's supposed to be kind of a core identity of this team, they don't do. The walk rate is 4.6% since the All-Star break. That's pathetic. There's not many ways to like justify that. That's a sign of poor approaches. Some guys like Green chasing too much. Some guys maybe being too aggressive early in counts. If your walk rate is 4.6%, that's a pretty good sign that not only are you not taking walks, you're probably not generally getting good pitches to hit. You're probably not doing as much damage as you could. One thing this team continues to do extremely well, you mentioned the outs on the bases, but they take the extra base at a next level clip. They are like 6 percentage points above the next best team in baseball. You can't do that as much when you don't have base runners, guys on the base paths. That has been a huge issue, and that doesn't even bring us to the bullpen, which like Luke Jackson is still on this team, so I don't know what.
Had to get a Luke Jackson reference in there.
Yeah, Luke. Sorry, but dude, you've barely been in town. It kind of sucks that there's ire coming toward you from the fan base, but that's what happens when you option someone like Brendan Hanafy. Like this is where we're at. I don't know that it's like the sky is falling. It's all over. There's all this talk like the division lead is only 6 games. 6 games is a pretty big division lead. Like, let's be real. But I do think it's very fair to be concerned because this isn't just a tiny sample. This is a decent sample of some very concerning trends. Some guys are going to play better, I'm sure, but like it's fair to wonder if this is the low point, are we going to get back to that high point, of May, early June? Are the Tigers going to play at that 600 plus winning percentage clip? I don't know. Watching this team recently, it's hard to feel like inspired that like, okay, they're going to rebound to that level. I'm sure they'll rebound to like a 500 clip or whatever, finish out the season fine. But I don't know. We talk about the biggest potential of this team. It's getting harder to see. And the fact you did only marginal things at the trade deadline and didn't do anything to upgrade the offense. I mean, we had those debates, and I understand some of the rationale. But the great version of this team, the team that was on pace to win 100-plus games, starting to feel like a long time ago.
Yeah, so the expression "water finds its level." I don't know. I don't know exactly what that level is for this team. I don't believe it's this.
Yeah,
but it's probably
that's
not.
Really the question.
But it's not 1984 win percentage rate.
Yeah.
So what is that level? That's something that I'm looking at right now. And then in terms of fairness, I'm glad you brought up. It's only 6 games. Was this team, gonna win the division by 20 games? That wasn't really gonna happen.
Tough. It's tough to do.
So right now, from our friends at DraftKings, the Tigers are minus 1,000 to win the division. That's by far the greatest odds to win the division. If you want some perspective, the Dodgers are minus 475. The Blue Jays are minus 270. That's obviously a pretty competitive division in there. So that's for division.
It helps a lot that no one else in the division is trying. I mean, the Guardians have been playing very good baseball, but they sold, and the Twins obviously had a fire sale. I guess the Royals are kind of trying, but they're further back in the pack.
Yes.
Let's be real, like that bodes great in the Tigers' favor.
Yes. And so you say, like, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and say the division's a wrap, but you're obviously in really good position, enough that you can look at the next tier, right? I think that's fair to say.
Sure.
And on DraftKings, they actually have odds for the number 1, number 2, and whatever seeds for the playoffs. And the number 1 seed odds for I looked at them this morning, and now they're gone. But the Tigers were like in the plus 200s for the 1 seed, and the plus like almost to plus 300s for the 2 seed. And so like they're and right behind Toronto for the 1 seed and tops for the 2 seed. So they are odds-on favorites to get that crucial top 2 spots in the American League playoff picture, which brings me to something that I think we haven't discussed yet, but I think is worth kind of setting the record of, Cody. How crucial, especially given what we've seen, how crucial is it to get one of those top 2 seeds and to avoid being in a 3-game playoff situation? So,
yeah, I'm glad you bring this up, Kieran. I think this is maybe the best way to talk about the state of the Tigers right now. It's fun to panic or rage bait and let's, bring pitchforks outside Scott Harris's office and the Tigers are going to blow this division lead, whatever. That's all fun. They have a 6-game division lead. They're in good position. They still have Tarek Skubal going for you every 5th day. But this team is in danger of no longer having a bye. If you do not play better baseball than you have been, you're going to be going to the wild card round. And I think that is, other than totally choking things away and not making the playoffs, that is the worst case scenario for this team right now. The idea of fate, just going in like I've called it a snake pit. I guess you would, in theory, host this wild card series, but imagine facing the Rangers and you got Eovaldi and DeGrom and boom, you're done. Or the Mariners and you have Wu, Gilbert, and Castillo. Like, how good really do you feel about the Tigers' chances in a short series like that against what could be a wild card team with a really good rotation? You would have Skubal going. We don't know who's going to start game 2 or game 3. You feel good about Charlie Morton starting for you. If the other side's rolling out Luis Castillo, I don't love that. I guess you can go pitching chaos. Better have some guys step up in the bullpen. Better have Paul Sewald become a hero, in October. I think that is a very scary situation that is starting to feel like something that could be a distinct reality for the Tigers.
Yeah, and if you look around the American League, there's a lot of aces out there that are putting teams on their backs, just like Skubal has done for a number. Eovaldi's one, of course, DeGrom, Crochet, guys that are good enough. I'll say that in a short playoff series, you can kind of wash the Skubal effect. That's how good some of these guys.
I would say the flip side of this is there's still not a dominant power in the American League.
True.
I think the Tigers could stack up in a 7-game series if they get back to something closer to themselves, could stack up against any of these teams. Totally fine. Could almost feel good. But you don't want to go into that 3-game series because that's just too volatile, too random, and there are some pitchers around the league that scare me against a lineup that's been striking out at a very high rate and not walking at all.
The way I look at it is I want a series that has a place for Skubal to go twice if needed.
Yeah.
That's really that's how I look at it. So that brings us to, we talked about some things that haven't been going right. So who's going to be our DraftKings chart topper of the week? Let's see. I have Wenceel Pérez, Cody.
Okay.
Wenceel Pérez is our DraftKings chart topper player spotlight because I was trying to think of guys that have the capability of being a rocket ship for this team, production wise and emotionally in the I know it's not the second half, but in this playoff push here, because you had a litany of guys that did that in the first half, 6 All-Stars. But Perez is quietly putting together a pretty solid season. He's already 0.7 WAR. That's exactly what he was last year, Cody, and roughly half the at-bats. He doesn't grade out great defensively still, but he does have a knack for making big and exciting plays. We saw that this past week. The switch hitter piece of it is I think he's a real asset as a switch hitter, which I didn't necessarily see last year. And then if you just even look at it recently, he's had a hit in 7 of 8 games. That's a couple home runs. He's stealing bags. He's kind of taken over McKinstry's corner a little bit as like the most worrisome guy on the base pass a little bit. I like Wenceel Pérez because of what he can bring to this team. All that little stuff. I feel like he can kind of create things. He has a knack for creating things when not a lot else is going right around with the team. So I think he might be one of their more sneaky kind of valuable guys as we make a playoff push into October.
I think he's been incredibly valuable. There were some signs of him really cooling off. I mean, he did cool off in July. He hit 200. He was not swinging the bat all that well. But then he's picked it back up, like you said, hits in 7 of 8. I think that was a needed sign. What really encourages me, he's continued to be pretty good from both sides of the plate. He had cooled off a little bit from the left side, but had a big homer the other night. He's got 6 home runs from the left side of the plate already, 765 OPS. From the right side, which was considered his weaker side entering this year, he's got a 900 OPS right now in 52 plate appearances. He's been a legit threat, and as AJ Hinch said, feels like you have 2 players when he's able to swing it from both the left and the right side. I wouldn't have guessed Wenceel's production increasing to this level as a right-handed hitter entering spring training. We'll see if it continues for 50 more plate appearances, but it's been really good. Said, regardless of what the metrics say, continues to just look way more comfortable to me in the outfield than he did a year ago. Love seeing him run the bases. Love seeing AJ give him that green light and maybe be a little more open to sending guys. Yeah, this is a dude that has been very, very valuable, especially when Parker Meadows is hurt again and Matt Vierling has yet to really get it going.
He's the only example of a guy that, had the spring training injury, technically.
Mm-hmm.
I know he did play in spring training, but the spring training injury, and then came back and actually produced. And again, like you just gotta go look at the numbers from this year to last year. Keep in mind, he's still not 25. Is he 25 or is he? He turns 25 in October, Cody. So like he's still a youngin. And if you just look at,
glad they didn't trade him for Eugenio Suarez now.
He's already matched last season's home run total. His OPS plus is 118. Last year it was below the 100 mark. And he does feel like a guy that actually has a real role. So that's why I thought, like, if there's not a lot of spark pluggy type players on this team. It was McKinstry, but you can't be a spark plug again. It's kind of like a in the moment thing. And so Perez, I think, has the capability of doing that. So that's why we have him as our DraftKings player spotlight, which brings us to our pick of the week presented by DraftKings. So our pick, Cody, is it's kind of like a pick out of necessity. Like we've spent 20 minutes almost talking about like what's going wrong with this team. But at least this is set up for a get right weekend. Now, we thought Minnesota would be that too, but presently going into this series against the Angels, the Tigers are minus 250 to win the series. And also, interestingly, Skubal, Morton, Mize, those are your starting pitchers for the weekend. If you're in a 3-game series or in a playoff series period, that kind of seems like your top 3 right now.
Is it? I mean, maybe. Can't really argue anyway. I guess that means Jack Flaherty's got to step up or Chris Paddock's got to step up. I don't know.
Could be.
The idea of Charlie Morton being your 2, but yeah,
could be.
Hard to make an argument for anyone else at this rate.
Yeah, I'm saying it could be. It could be.
Sure.
And so that's the interesting element. For the record, the Angels are 5 games below 500. It's a team that feels like for several years hasn't had any direction. This is a potential get right weekend. Like I said, the Tigers just had their family day carnival thing at Comerica Park. Hopefully they're looser and they can rebound. All these intangible things. But Tigers to win the series minus 250. Only the Dodgers hosting the Rockies, I think, had a better series odds for the weekend. So that gives you, again, an idea of how the books are looking at the Tigers. So but obviously you can't make a pick, but this seems like it's almost a pick out of necessity. It's like you kind of got to win this series. You can't spend a week losing 2 out of 3 to Minnesota and 2 out of 3 to Anaheim. You think it's panicking now?
That'd be bad. That'd be bad. Helps to have Scooble going game 1. Maybe set the tone a little bit. Tigers have lost 5 of their past 6 series, 6 of their past 7 series, which is kind of hard to process. Like, I wouldn't have guessed that until that stat came out. It's like, oh yeah, no, they have been that bad. So in a way, they're just due to win a series.
Yeah. I mean, again, find the level.
Yeah.
And I just want to correct the record. It's Arizona hosting the Rockies. So just wanted to correct the record on that. Arizona hosting the Rockies. So Tigers to win the series against the Angels, -250. Use code FOUL, bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Brought to you by
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right. We asked for some mailbag questions and we got several, so we're going to try to speed through these. As usual, Cody and I just get on tangents and then we're like, oh wait, we got to get to this. So first one up. Here's here's one that's actually really topical given what we saw this week. Concern level on Tyler Horton. This comes from Robert James. Concern level for Tyler Horton.
Who's Tyler Horton?
Taylor Horton. What's the name?
Are you talking about Tyler Holton?
Holton. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm going fast and I read it wrong. That's my bad. That's a me thing.
I'm worried about you there for a second. Have we created a mix of Tyler Holton and Charlie Morton or something? He's given up a lot more damage is just the first thing that comes to mind. He's given up 13 homers this season, Kieran. His last 2 seasons combined, he had only given up 16. I feel like the stuff, it's been a little better than it was earlier in the year. Still not sure it's gotten back to last year's level, and I feel like he's just leaving a lot more stuff middle. The command does not seem to have been as precise. The cutter has been hit pretty hard. That's probably been the single biggest difference maker. The cutter, trying to pull up some stats here off the top of my head. Bottom line, it has not been as good. A run value of 1 this season. It was 7 last year. He's actually having success with his sinker, but opponents hit 194 off that cutter last year. They're hitting 304 this year. The slug is more than double what it was last season. He needs that to kind of be his bread and butter to set up some of the other things he likes to do. And if that pitch is leaking over the middle of the plate or if it's getting whacked, I think that kind of alters his entire arsenal, the entire way he can approach hitters. I'm not going to say concerned in that he's unusable, but I'm not super confident he's going to get back to being a complete lockdown guy, which he was last season.
All right, similar for Tommy Kahnle. Happy birthday, by the way, Tommy Kahnle. Should he be throwing the fastball more? I mean, that broadcast wise, I guess suggested, but something's got to give because you talk about usable. That's going down.
Been bad, and he will continue to be bad if he doesn't rediscover the feel for his changeup. Not saying he's going to continue to be bad, but if he keeps doing what he is doing now, I don't think his results are going to improve. You can look at the splits on his changeup from late June or early July. Hitters were hitting sub 200 against the pitch. I think they're hitting above 400 against that changeup since July 1. It's not getting as much horizontal movement. It's not getting as much vertical movement. It really has not been quite the same pitch. And when you lean on that 84% of the time, that's going to get you in trouble. Throwing the 4-seam more, maybe that's like a Band-Aid he could use, but reality is he's got to get that good version of his changeup right, or it could be very problematic.
All right, next question is from Stan. It's a Riley Green one, which we've talked about, but this is specifically with his launch angle swing and not being able to catch up to high rail fastballs. What is the adjustment for that? Is it you just got to let it go knowing you can't get to it, or do you have to alter your path a little bit? Can you alter your path?
Yeah, I wish we had Ajax for this one to really break it down from the perspective of a major league hitter.
I feel like you just gotta let it go. Yeah. That's the simplest thing. That's
let it go. Maybe. I mean, what if it's a strike though? You're gonna lay off it.
I mean,
then pitchers are just going to continue to attack you. There is my first thought.
Sure.
He doesn't get an incredible. You look at pitch percentage. He doesn't get an incredible amount of top rail. The whiff is pretty significant up there, though. I mean, 48% on outer third top rail fastballs is super concerning. But then he gets attacked with spin low a lot too. So then it's like a tunneling effect. That's where he can really get in trouble, and kind of being caught in between those two things. I don't know what the answer is. That's my honest assessment. If this guy's your best power hitter, I don't think you want to tell him, hey, level your swing like a little league coach or something, right? But obviously it's extreme. Obviously you can't get beat the way he is getting beaten right now. It's like, it feels more like an off-season thing to me. I don't know what you do right now. It's kind of tough.
Well, the reason I say you just don't swing at him is that, like, I think you got to train. You got to hope you get some calls there, because it's not like all these are strikes that he's swinging at up, and most of these aren't. You're not going to get to anyway. You're not going to do damage on anyway. I would almost just like take a couple games, dude, and just like lay those off, and we'll live with the result. You're striking out anyway, so it's not like we're going with the increase in the percentage there. You're just not hitting them. So maybe you get lucky with the umpire. I mean, I'm not saying that's a great suggestion, but that's the only thing I could think of.
Maybe it's dangerous to take fastballs in this league, because then you're just going to see more of this. And in general, that's hard to hit. Riley's actually slugged better against breaking balls than fastballs this season, though.
Yeah, fair point. I mean, this is something we talked on a little bit, but you can expand a little bit. And this is from Flair. Any behind the scenes info on your Urquidy? And I think basically, like, what's the level of enthusiasm that you can share with us regarding like this guy?
It seems pretty high. Like, he's been a very real part of the Tigers' plan this entire time. I think he's thrown one rehab outing. I don't think and it was short. I don't think that was enough to judge like how his stuff has actually looked. I haven't really heard even a lot on how the team has felt about that. But they've always seemed very enthusiastic about him returning and him pitching for this team in September. That factored into their trade deadline calculus as well. I'll be interested to see what the stuff is looking like coming out of his hand as he gets up to AAA, makes some longer rehab outings. Because this is a guy fresh off Tommy John, which I've been saying for a while, just scares me a little bit. But the Tigers seem to have pretty good level of optimism for him.
All right, we're going to get to some more of your mailbag questions, but first, a word from our sponsors.
AJ, I'm on my phone right now in Arena Club, and I'm looking at the Emerald slab packs, and I see in the Grail a Bobby Witt Jr. 2020 Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto Gold Refractor card.
Give me that. Give me your phone. I'm gonna get you to
you gotta buy
that to me.
I don't have it.
I thought you had it.
Get a slab pack. No, I don't have that.
Then give me your slab pack.
That card's worth.
You buy me slab packs, Scott, so I can get the Bobby Witt Jr. Gold Refractor 2020 Bowman Chrome Auto, because that sounds awesome.
And it's worth a lot.
It's worth a lot. He's a stud. He's not going down. Get a Grail. I want a Grail, Scott. Give me the Holy Grail. You do it.
To do that, you must get yourself a slab pack in Arena Club, or if you want to get it for a friend, you can do that too. And right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or your first card purchase. If you're going on there and you're just like, hey, I want a specific card, I find it there, I want to grab it for my showroom, arenaclub.com/foul, and use the code FOUL.
All right, coming back here, Cody. This question is from Ron. Chemistry now with all the changes. We talked about this a little bit, but like I said, lowest point. Chemistry now with all the changes. Any differences clubhouse wise with the guys?
Yeah, it's nothing that I've noticed. Like I said, I think it's really only a few new additions. There's a couple guys who are more veteran, so you do wonder how that could alter the calculus of this room. Also, still new, right? Charlie Morton, Chris Paddock, Rafael Montero, like Kyle Finnegan, still getting to know everyone's names, still learning how they will fit in. From what I can tell, there's not been a huge alteration there, at least not yet. I do think that the guys are getting sick of losing, though, right? And that's understandable. But I think, I don't know, at least after the last loss to the Twins, like, vibe just wasn't great. I'm not saying it should be great after a loss like that, but I think these guys would like to get back to winning. I think that would fix a lot.
Sure. Next is from Nick, and this is actually something that you and I talked about off air after our last episode. Jahmai Jones and Andy Ibáñez being on the roster at the same time. That's obviously not something we anticipated coming into the season happening all that much. But what's the future of Jahmai Jones when Parker's healthy? Is basically what Nick is saying. And is there any option possibility for like a Parker or even a Vierling or whatever?
Yeah, I would assume one of Andy or Jahmai would be gone when Parker is activated. It is interesting and worth following what Matt Vierling will do over the past next few days. That could maybe be an option, man. I mean, he does have 3 hits in his last 2 games. That's a mark in his favor. And I do think just from a roster construction standpoint, it probably makes more sense to demote one of your quote unquote platoon bats. Now, Jones doesn't have an option. He would have to be DFA'd. So then do you want to option Andy or DFA Jahmai? That can be a little bit of a tricky question. I don't quite know which way the team would lean. Andy does present more defensive value. Can be a little more versatile. AJ can use him in some different ways. I think if the Tigers feel like his bat is right, I would at least lean toward keeping Andy. And that kind of sucks for Jahmai, who's quietly been pretty solid and pretty productive for the Tigers. He's certainly earned, his right to continue to be on this team as long as he has. It'll end up being a tough decision. Let's see what happens in the next few days.
All right, this next one is from Casey. Barring a Haiyu Lee trade, or except Haiyu Lee, the Tigers are really lacking higher end prospects in AAA. Do you think this had any impact on their trade deadline, as it seems a lot of selling teams were leaning towards prospects they think can help them sooner rather than later?
I think it's worth noting Chase Young and Justin Henry Malloy aren't prospect status. They're not going to appear on prospect list, but they are very young players who could probably play for a lot of major league teams out there. So I think you got to consider those guys in the mix. Now, how much do other teams value those 2 players? That's a different question because they both have defensive limitations that could probably hurt their value on the trade market. Probably Malloy especially. Tigers haven't even trusted him with a lot of outfield reps, so why would another team suddenly, be excited? And then Jace, I wonder if there was interest. I haven't really heard much, if any, about that. Seems to me like a guy other teams could still be interested in, especially a team that maybe preferred to play him at second rather than third. But it is worth when we talk about all right, they're not going to trade any of their top 5 guys, and then you start looking from 5 to 15, and one of them's Haiyu Lee, who the Tigers kind of want in the big leagues, maybe by the end of this year. And one of them's Chris Rodriguez, who they're probably not touching either. And then Jaden Ham, who's had a down year. Does he still have any value? And then you look further down, maybe this farm's a little more top heavy than we have kind of talked about it in terms of, they have the best farm in baseball. They have a really good farm. They have more depth than they used to. But I do think it's a little bit top heavy, and that might have impacted some trade discussions.
And lastly, I think this is a nice way to kind of wrap it up. Got several variations of this from people, but the McGonagall piece, is there any sense in holding out hope that he gets a tryout in the major leagues this season?
I would say no. Am I right? Is there?
I mean,
I think it feels. I think it's highly unlikely, but it feels more likely than I would have thought even a month ago. I think if the team is playing poorly and maybe gets a little desperate, like, would that be an influencing factor? I don't know. It would still be against pretty much everything Scott Harris has done in his tenure, other than promote Jackson Jobe at the end of last year. So I'd give it like a 5% chance, but I don't know that I'd say 0 like I would have for most of this year.
Yeah, the way I would phrase it is McGonigal has done enough to make it an interesting thought, but it does, like you said, it would seem pretty out of character for the Tigers to do.
That brings us back, like, who you taking off this roster?
Yeah, yep.
It'd be both Andy and Jahmai are probably gone. Or are you really going to get more from like a rookie hitter? He's a left-handed hitter, so that complicates the roster discussion even more. It'd probably take an injury, really, to even make it feasible now that I think about it, just from a lefty-righty standpoint.
Not to get old Scott Harrisy and Plansy, but I would just do everything possible for McGonigal to be a starting infielder in 2026. That would be like my
thought, certainly.
Yeah, so. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for sending in questions. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading us on Apple and Spotify and wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for following us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Cody Stavenhagen. I'm at Kieran_Steckley, pod page at Tiger Territory _ Reminder, everywhere there's a link to our shop, TigerTerritoryShop.com, to get your Tiger Territory merch. We appreciate all of you, and thank you for following along. The lowest point of the season, we'll see where water finds its level. For Cody Stavenhagen, I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.
Real quick, so I didn't mention this. Obviously, the Tigers get a 27th man, and there are 2 call-ups in September, 27th and 28th. So McGonigal could be that without having to send someone else down. I would currently guess Howie Lee would get that look before Kevin McGonigal.
Yeah, that's a key thing, too. You know, jump Lee. We'll see. Then likely. So we will see. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Kieran Steckley, Cody Stavenhagen. Have a great day.